All right. Welcome back to Waking the People. I'm Chad Everett Brochures, and this is my co-host and fantastic friend and business entrepreneur, Josh. Josh, go ahead and give him the whole intro.
Joshua T. McClendon here. Welcome back to the episode of Waking the People, my fellow patriots, my fellow Americans. Early start, a little mix up, like it. Not mix up, intentional.
Yep.
Tapping to the gills, ready to go. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube and on Rumble. YouTube's probably going to be coming out a little bit sooner, to be honest with you. Got to figure out Rumble. Don't forget to send us some emails. I'm going to have the email underneath. I'm working on that as well, getting a link installed. We got a lot to talk about today, lots to discuss. Going to go ahead and just jump into our first topic. Going to lay out some groundwork. And then we'll I'm going to state my opinions on it, and then we'll discuss a little bit deeper in conversation. So we discussed a couple episodes ago about how Florida is really it's really a landmark. It's the example to the rest of the United States. The United States is an organization of states, obviously, and each state, when you travel across the country, is a little bit different, each one you go to. So Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, by the way, YouTube, do not ban us. I don't know what you don't like about that name. Chad told me this a while ago, that for some reason YouTube likes to take down every episode that has Ron DeSantis in it. It's just a governor on YouTube, so please do not remove this episode. So Governor Ron DeSantis has been pushing for Florida to eliminate non-school property taxes for the first time. We'll really be the first state to ever do it. And as it's gone through the legislature, it's kind of morphed a little bit. At first, it was a complete elimination of non-school funding property taxes. Now it looks like it's going to be a phasing out process. So we're going to have, over the next 10 years, we're going to have a $100,000 increase in homestead exemption. So if this is your primary residence, it's the one you live in Florida, you qualify what's called for a homestead exemption. And over the next 10 years, it's going to be raised $100,000, essentially phasing out non-school funding property taxes come 2037.
That's excellent, by the way.
Yeah.
25,000 for the longest time.
It sure is. Yeah, 25,000, and that actually it puts a good little dent as far as property taxes go, but it's still, I mean, that would be huge. So we're going to dive into some of the in-depth ideas of it. Let's just run through some kind of just some fact checking, some back analyst data that I've seen on it. Other bills are going to focus eliminating taxes for seniors. As you know, Florida has a gigantic senior population. There's a difference between renting. I got all kinds of good stuff on this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and state my position on it. One, I absolutely love it. Cannot wait, right? I got a bunch of good ideas as far as other ways, because the ones who are against it, the people who are against it, have some talking points that are valid in the sense of how you're going to fund, non-school funding property taxes. That means that the services that would be cut out would be like parks. There's going to be like, fire, police, things of that nature will be funded out as far as being funded by state property taxes, but there's other ways you can do it. So with that being said, the first thing that I want to talk about as far as my position on it is there are some negatives that are going to come from it. And if we don't get it done the right way and put other taxes, I know y'all are going to freak out when you hear Josh talk about starting other taxes. These are actually some ideas when I was planning on running for the mayor of Largo this year, but I learned that you only get paid $27,000 and you really don't have a lot of power. So I'll see you in 2 years.
Stepping stone.
Yeah. I'll see you in 2 years, Largo. The city council actually has more power. But if we don't find other ways to mitigate that loss, what we're going to see is what similar happened at the end of COVID, when a lot of boomers came down here. They bought houses with cash because they got the money from New York and other parts of the country just for that tax benefit, just to be able to escape the property taxes and live here. And a lot of people, Chad, and this is something that I would love to change in the future as well. A lot of people, they like snowbirds, for example, right? They live here for 6 months and then they go back to where they also live for the other 6 months. They're down here for the season, right? We call it the season. And then they go up for the summertime. Yep, snowbird season. So why don't you go ahead and give me your thoughts on the elimination, and I'll kind of jump into some of the things I think we could do to help combat the loss, at least of the state revenue, since we're surplus. But
well, you have to understand, first off, every state is supposed to run like a business. It has different divisions. There's a lot of complexity when it comes to state. You find that the ones that have the highest property taxes are going to typically be your blue states, not your red states. Because typically on the conservative side, they try to reduce the taxes to a degree because they're not as big on public services and public, that side of it, public funded things. But it doesn't mean they're against it. You know, no state wants to go without a fire department because you don't want to get back to the day whenever they did it for profit. You want it to stay
Exactly.
like this. Police, you don't want private security. You want the police because private security is dedicated to the person that contracts them, not for the public well-being. So therefore, police is a better idea about what we want to have in place. I don't care what other people say. Police are racist. All the rest is nonsense. That's a communist talking point. And I am a anti-communist. So although when you do hear me talking about things, sometimes, you know, when I talk about ethical capitalism, I talk down on unethical capitalism, which is what the majority of the talking points from communists
Pure communism
and socialists are, right? That's their talking points. By the way, the difference between communism and socialism, the simplest version is this. Socialism is how you sell communism.
Yeah.
You strip away your rights. Everybody gets equal. No, you don't. You've never had equality. So anyway, it is the con that people buy. But you see, buyer's remorse requires you shoot your way out. That's it. You do not have a nonviolent revolution to get out of communism. So anyway, all right, now back to the state of a corporation, like a state is set up as a corporation when you come to the way that they run. Each division has to be funded. Now, Florida has been in a surplus every year under Ron DeSantis.
Yes.
And we've actually been in a significant surplus every year. That is why they have the ability to talk about dismantling or disbanding the property taxes.
Because there's really no other tax relief you can get. That would be kind of it.
Yeah. So we do have access to federal funds if the state requires it, but Florida has not been requesting federal funds because we don't need it. So now, unlike California, what is an absolute corrupt shitbag of the state, not the people, the majority, because the majority of California is actually red.
And not the land either. California is beautiful.
Oh, it's a beautiful place. Absolutely. It's run by idiots. So actually not idiots. No, let me take it back. They're very smart. They're cunning, corrupt, lying pieces of shit. The majority of them. That's also why it's so nasty the way it is. And if you want to start a business, don't go to California. Okay, so, but as far as that goes here, I would love to see what they're going to use to fund these public works and these systems that we have. But I'm very curious to see what the goal is. Not the goal, how they plan to replace it. As property owner, I can definitely tell you right now, you can't own anything permanently. No. Even if you go and you pay every penny required to purchase that land, you can't own it because property taxes.
Exactly.
Now, the reason for that, by the way, our forefathers put that in because people were buying land and then locking it out. And they just go around buying up land, and they owned all this land. They were doing nothing with it when the country was in its growth, a very big growth phase, and making us the formation of our country the way we know it now. So it was put in place to prevent us from having people that just own and landlocked everything. Just spread out the land, and there's nothing you can do about it. It was not owned by the federal government; it's private owners, and they were locking out land. So they did that because that put a burden on them to do something with the property so that we could grow. Well, at this point, we've grown quite a bit. We obviously want to push away that potential again in the future. Yeah. Because you don't want people to just buy it up because they have means to it, because that means that your kids won't be able to buy land. And they will buy it up. You don't want BlackRock to go around buying it. Yeah. And they could. By the way, beautiful thing, and we won't digress too far into this, but right now that's actually part of Trump's new bill he's trying to get through. Yeah, to prevent large corporations like BlackRock from buying up property.
That creates surfism in a sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
I am the one that owns, and
you cannot own property.
You will own nothing and be happy.
God damn, I hate that. I know. Oh God, I hate that statement. Okay, but it's true, and that's how they feel about us. And I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I'm going to talk about a couple of things today, but yeah. So as far as that goes, that's where I'm at with it. I don't know enough about what the replacement is going to be for property tax when it comes to funding, or what's required, because a lot of us are used to corruption because we've been hearing about the national debt for how long. Exactly. And then you look at it, you've got billions of dollars being funneled out. Actually, I think at this point it accumulates to total corruption they found so far over $1 trillion. Yeah. So, and that's debt. Yes. That could be going towards servicing whatever debt we have so that we get into a surplus. Yes. But that would make America truly strong, and that's not what corrupt people want.
Exactly. And like we said, if it continues, the example of pre-COVID, especially now with Mamdani in New York, a lot of people from New York are snowbirds and Florida. So once they get what they, once you reap what you sow up in New York and you come down to Florida and, oh, now we got no property taxes. If there's not some way to combat that, when it's going to be just like 2021, 2022, over and over again, the young population are going to be even more blocked out of housing with BlackRock and people that got cash. So here's a couple ways, here's a couple ideas that I got. as far as ways that the state of Florida can combat the non-school funding property tax. The number one thing, I really like this idea. Again, y'all are going to freak when I mention taxes, but I would like to see a statewide increase in sales tax during the season, targeting specific items. So beach gear, the beach chairs, flip-flops, bathing suits, umbrellas, beach tents, etc. And you're already kind of starting to see, especially this is kind of we'll dive into this section of the topic there, but I would like to see an increase on that because sales tax is voluntary. Not everyone in the state of Florida actually owns property, unfortunately. So when you're not an owner in something, you're always going to treat it a little bit different. So I think that I would rather put the burden on tourists and people that come here part-time. And sure, I mean, if I don't want to go buy a beach chair, if I don't want to buy an umbrella, it's voluntary for me to do when it comes to sales tax. But we can use that tourism in our benefit and make some money off of them that can then go back in our pockets, the people who are actually calling Florida home and are taking on the responsibility of actually owning property. Because we both know owning property it's a whole new ball game. Once you own something, once you own a house, once you own a condo, the number one thing is you find out that no one really gives a shit about you. Everyone is going to try to, manipulate if you need services done, which is why we have Chad doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
But when you take ownership and you're actually taking the responsibility of owning a property, we as a state should look out for those people first, and we should exploit. I like that word. We should exploit the people that are here for tourists and make the money off of them.
Yeah. Well, here's what I want to be cautious with, though. We don't want to not have tourism.
Oh,
and we will have it. We will have it. But
come.
You can disenfranchise or what the hell is it? You can deter them.
Yeah.
You can demotivate them from coming here and go somewhere else if the sales tax is too high. But then again, that argument could be applied to California. People still go to California.
Exactly.
You're going to pay through the fucking nose there.
Exactly.
By the way, just so people all understand this, gas would be the same price in California as this in Florida if they didn't have all those stupid ass taxes. Yeah. We do not want to California, Florida. No, because Florida needs to. They need California to be Floridized.
Yes.
They need it to become Florida. And then the people in California would rejoice. Okay, the legal voters would rejoice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Specific items.
So when it comes to that, but within reason.
Yes.
So could sales tax replace property tax? 1 for 1, no.
Yeah, it could.
Because you're talking about, like the property tax that I had previously was over $1,000 for the property that I had. So you're not going to get $1,000 out of the tourists individually, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to have to be some sort of value, because what you would do in an accounting approach is you would want to make sure that the state level emergency aid is all funded well. You got a really good surplus there, because we are not nationally, but on a state level, we typically do have something that comes along, whether it's red tide, which can trigger a statewide emergency. It could be hurricanes or storms. Hell, even just recently with this heavy freeze, that we've all experienced, the panhandle could run through similar things like Texas did a couple of years ago, which I think was also geoengineered. But anyway, but let's not get conspiracy there. Even though now we know.
Don't take it down, YouTube. Damn it.
Oh yeah. By the way, to talk about that, YouTube was flagging multiple videos, and I got that for about 6 months after we stopped. They were still going through there, crawling through our videos, and anything that was related to Ron DeSantis, they were saying was fake news or fact check false, and they were removing those videos.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of notifications that they were going to be removing videos. So anyway, it's politically left, when it comes to YouTube. Rumble is politically right, but more center. So anyway, not to digress into that, but so I don't know exactly all of what did you see a proposal for the intended tax replacement?
It's in the House right now. And it's actually, at first, it was really Ron DeSantis kind of banging the drum as far as trying to get it pushed through.
He wanted total elimination.
Yeah, total elimination is what he wanted. And in order to get the House to kind of cooperate, they agreed upon a phasing out period over 10 years, kind of similar to the increase in minimum wage. So, but as far as the in-depths yet, it has not come to fruition. As far as the in-depths of the bill, I'll keep an eye out once it actually does come to fruition. But it is going to be on the ballot this year. So other ideas that I think and that we could do as far as a state is a tax on short-term Airbnb rentals. And that is not, that doesn't come out of the person who's actually renting the Airbnb, nor is actually hosting the Airbnb, oh no, it does come out of the person that's renting.
Yeah.
The one who's actually buying the property for, whatever amount
Yeah.
of time, it's going to come out of their pocket.
You wouldn't want to punish the business.
No, exactly.
And it's not like those taxes are heavy.
No, very
So
little.
this is not California people.
Yeah, very
So
little.
yeah, the tax would not be a heavy one that we levied against these people. It would just be a slight increase to the
Yeah,
actual
1 to 2%. You probably wouldn't even notice it.
You
But
wouldn't
as a
even- you
collective,
wouldn't.
it would make a difference. Tax on beachfront hotels, again, in certain locations, not in all locations, not all hotels, but ones that attract, again, just kind of leveraging that tourism. Florida is a gigantic tourist destination. And we could even throw Disney, we could tax the shit out of them a little bit more and get some money.
Well, I wouldn't say it's tax the shit out of them, but I agree 100%. I was going to say Disney.
Yeah.
So Universal Studios and the Disney properties, all of that, guys, you have to understand what they do with the money. Like if you see all of the stuff that they've been putting out, it's like it's the overall Disney Corporation, but their theme parks. If they want to continue to raise the rate for people going to Disney, guess what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's a meritocracy.
Yeah.
We're going to get the next Disney structure that will be drawing people in with wholesome approach. And you'll see this, like Dollywood in Tennessee with Dolly Parton's property. You have places that truly do want to see something wholesome, good, and not have pederasses running around trying to groom our children.
Yep.
So yeah, I've got a problem with that. I won't let my family, my child, or my partners go to Disney to spend money there. I'm not like a totalitarian. I'm not in the basement or anything. But I will tell you this, is that I will not allow for myself to spend my money in Disney because I don't want it going to that.
Yeah.
And but they can tax the shit out of it. By all means, let's get it, man.
Yeah.
Now, when I say tax the shit out of it, let me be fair here.
Yeah.
It's not because I dislike them. I want to see a significant increase.
No.
But look, if you see a cup, like a penny on a dollar or something like that increasing, that will actually add up.
It will add up.
Because they have been tax exempt for a lot of things.
Yes.
So, we don't need that. They're not a religion. They're not in the religious organization, although some people treat it that way.
They sure do.
God bless it.
Disney adults and Swifties, in my opinion, are on the same fucking spectrum.
I think you call it. I like referring to it as a spectrum. That's definitely good. Yeah, because I've seen like fully adjusted adults turn into children within one sentence.
Yeah.
Hell, you just start singing the Mickey Mouse song and then they regress.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, look, I love having fun. But I mean regress because following that typically has some sort of attachment to a political statement.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't know.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with going. I mean, I like going to Epcot and doing the drinking around the world.
I love doing that.
Again, to Chad's point, it's expensive. If you really want to do it, it's $150. That's just for whatever you get as far as food and drinks there. I don't even know what the going rate is as far as like a day pass to Disney, but it's probably upwards of $300 or more.
Well, I look forward to the day that Groupon's carrying their tickets.
Yeah. Well, they do the for Florida residents. Again, this is the one thing that Disney does do. They do give like a Florida residence pass where you get like 4 visits throughout the year, and it's at a much discount price if you're from out of state when you buy it. But again, the amount of people who actually go to Orlando, the amount of traffic that Disney creates for us as a state, I know we get it in tourism tax, but we should expose what they get as far as revenue in to help offset, again, the people who actually call this place home and not tourists that just fly in to go to Disney. We should also reap some of the benefits even more than just beyond the tourism tax.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more to this conversation than what we can, like, there's still going to be a lot more to learn. We're speculating on where they can actually increase, some tax values in order to run these social programs. What I think is also interesting is typically the people that demand the social programs are the ones that are not taxpayers.
No, yeah. Or they don't, or it doesn't bother them. They're at such a high tax bracket to where them paying a little bit extra in taxes, it really does not affect their life. Again, the middle class, when we see a tax cut, we see normally it does create a substantial easement in their life, but not like the top 1% where what they pay, and if they do it the right way, some of them pay even less taxes than someone in the middle class.
Yeah. So there's a lot more. Do you have any more on this particular subject before we go to our next one? Because there is a lot to talk about with this, but it is to understand exactly, because there's too many new variables and it still hasn't even got through to the point that it can do much more.
Exactly.
This is just a proposal that we'd like to see.
Yep.
I personally would still have rather seen Ron DeSantis's position, but I would have loved to have seen it on paper.
Yeah.
Exactly. How does this work? Because it's just the same thing. People be like, what are we going to do with education? Well, a lot of states were receiving federal money for
Mhm.
education.
Mhm.
And if you don't know, as soon as that money is deposited in the account all the way down to the point that it affects children, if you don't know where that money goes, corruption can flourish. And that's actually the problem that we've been experiencing throughout the entire country when it comes to education. A lot of corruption and the misappropriation of money, things like that. If you don't know, we need to have very aggressive accountants to follow through with that and to follow with legal ramifications for these people that have been doing things. We don't need to smally up the entire country, although it has been done. And when I'm referencing that, I'm talking about what's going on in Michigan, but we're not going to digress to that unless it's in our agenda today. But yeah, that to me, that's definitely a good reference.
Exactly.
It's Democrat Somali world,
Yeah.
corruption.
It's an ongoing topic, and we'll discuss it further in the show as things
Mhm.
continue to come out as far as the actual plan goes. And not to mention that there are such things as county tax, and there's other things that this is just at a state level. So
Mhm.
you'll just see how it transpires and how it grows on.
Yep.
But no, I mean, as far as that specific one, that topic, that is really all we have right now, because really that's all the information that we have on it right now. We'll see how it moves through. But no, you said there was something that would kind of fire me up on a Thursday morning. So what do you?
Oh, yeah. So, all right. This is one that really, it still has my blood boiling because I'm all about ethical capitalism. Ethical. Very specific is that it has to do the better good for everybody, not just preserve the interests of a growing company. So here's the thing that happens if everybody's not aware with this. If you are a CEO, your job is to grow the company. You'll have financial objectives, you'll have growth objectives, you'll have things like that. Whatever happened last year, you will have a requirement to progress from that to another goal. And that is to get your bonuses typically, as well as preserve your job, because the board will get rid of you if you do not hit your goals, or somebody may have you removed. It could be just the owner of the company, because the CEO and the owner are not always the same thing, and often are not anymore. There's a lot of companies with certain size, they own it, but they just let everybody else run.
Yeah.
You just have to answer to that person, and they have their expectations. I want this much growth. So whatever last year was to this year, it needs to be better, bigger somehow. And if you miss it, you're probably going to lose your job. So who wants to lose their job? Especially the CEO, by the way, one of the hardest positions to get a job in.
Yeah.
If you're a CEO, you're top of the hill, right? And it's not a CEO job is open everywhere, and they scrutinize everything. So if you failed in your last position, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to get picked up for a very long time, and you'll likely have to take a position much lower. And even then, very hard to get a job, because positions much lower, like you've been a CEO. Why would you want to work
Go here to go there?
You're not going to have that level of loyalty. There's all kinds of reasons. You're a liability most of those times. So there's a real incentive to stay in that position. When you're winning, all of them want you. When you failed, nobody wants you. You're a leper. So now that I've made that statement so people understand, every business wants this. They want growth. Now, when it's the ethical to unethical is, okay, well, end of the year, this cliche thing, right? End of the fiscal year, you see people start to lose their jobs. The company downsizes payroll because that gives them a bump towards the end of the year, so that when they do the reporting for the following year, they can show that there was positive growth because they save money on payroll, which is where families go without because they lose their job in the holidays, which is also very unlikely a timeline you're going to get hired for the very same reason. They don't want to hire people and have that on the books before the next year. So you get to sit there and worry. You get all kinds of stuff. There's no ethics in that. That is horrible. That is a sole profit mentality. Mine is, look, if you failed from last year's goals to this year, this is what we do, but we have to make sure that we have other variables that are being measured. So now I've said all of that, so you have a little bit of an idea, and I'll go further into detail with any questions you guys have when it comes to the ethical side of capitalism, not the unethical, which is what most of us are familiar with, which is what gives communists and socialists their arguing points. Yeah, we have to be more community centric and not so much individual or just company or corporation centric. A lot of them come up with their own nonprofits, which is bullshit tax shelters. So, but anyway, or they'll have one that's associated with the company in some way, which gives somebody benefit. All right, so this has to do with car insurance. An incredibly good friend of mine, very important person to me, was recently in a car accident. Okay, she was rear-ended. Clearly, she was sitting at a light, waiting for it to turn green, and then somebody hit her from the rear. Okay, it was a pretty hard impact. It doesn't look like a lot of damage to the car, but I worked in physical therapy for multiple years as a corrective exercise specialist inside of a physical therapy office, so they can come see me or whatever, not to go digressing into that. But I can tell you that you can get injured from some of the most simplest things.
Oh,
And
yeah.
a lot of that has to do with muscle imbalances, the sheer force of like the force, including shock of the response that your body gives you. All of that stuff can cause like serious injury.
The position
So-
you're in, sitting like that. And
Yes.
yeah.
And she is in pain.
And
Okay?
if you don't see it coming.
Yes. So yeah. So she's in pain. She didn't see it coming. Complete surprise. So wearing seatbelt, she did everything right. The person claimed that they were getting into the turn lane, but it was a straight to the rear. You know, I think what the guy was doing was probably texting while he was driving or some sort of distraction, and then last second slammed into the back of her. So anyway, his auto insurance immediately contacted her within an hour after, roughly, of the accident. And then they said, after the initial conversation, we're going to send you a link. Please click on the link and fill out the information so that we can progress this thing along as quickly as possible so that you're not dealing with this and we can get this thing taken care of.
Okay.
If you click on the link, that was consenting. And I'm going to read this out for you. I'm not going to tell you which insurance company it is, but I will tell you it is a very large insurance company. Where did I go? Never mind. I apologize. My phone is right over here. Okay. So please, please, please pay attention, people, because this is going to be incredibly important for you.
Just like we talked about before, is once you own a home, you realize that no one gives a shit about you.
Oh, God.
Remember, insurance companies don't give a shit about you,
No, they don't.
especially the other person involved. They are not there to be your friend.
On average, their job, just like what was recent with a healthcare company, it turns out when they were looked into, they were denying policies left and right. And they did it because they needed to get that end of year so that they could show profit. And they were denying very valid requests and claims in medical. This is on the auto insurance side of things. So it says, welcome to the person. I'm not going to tell you the company, but I'm going to tell you it is one of the largest that's out there. Okay. We have a few questions for you about your incident on January 20th, 2026. By clicking I agree and continue, you acknowledge the company privacy policy, agree to the company terms of service, including the arbitration provision, and waive the right to a trial by jury or to participate in any class action or representative proceeding against company. By clicking I agree and continue, you are not impacting your claim with company name. You also will receive automated text at the phone number you provided above about the status of your online claim submission from or on behalf of company. So what does that say?
I guess to me, it sounds like they want to eliminate as far as any legal action and just settle outside, I guess, through their own avenues. If you click this, we'll handle what you're going through, but that means that, let's say they lowballed it and get some kind of low offer. There's no way you can rebuttal that offer. You can't dispute it further, right?
You can't take it to court.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So you're giving your rights away. Here's what happened. They contacted her as soon as possible because what happens when an accident happens? Shock.
Yeah.
You're in shock.
Yeah.
You can't even self-evaluate what your injuries are because your body has just been hit by adrenaline.
Exactly.
And then followed by the shock of it. Then you have the emotional, psychological of it. You got a lot of things to distract you. Hit them fast, get their consent, move on.
Yeah.
Also, you just had an incident. Why would you think that they were going to get you to consent to not being able to pursue actual damages?
Exactly.
So they want you to consent right then and there to take away your right to take them to court if you have major injuries. You have 10 days to get seek out medical attention, and you have 14 days to put a claim in.
Yeah. And
If you don't know this, you're screwing yourself. And they've got so many windows to try to get you to not have to anything. So if she's long-term injured, how the hell are you going to self-evaluate? She turned down immediate because she's like, I don't know. I don't need an ambulance. I think I'm okay.
Like
I do feel some pain, but I'm in shock. I don't know. This should be okay. She's also an incredibly tough cookie. She gave birth without actually having anesthesia. Well, it didn't take though the epidural. So she gave birth that way. This girl has an incredible pain tolerance. Okay, so they're trying to get her to waive her rights. So when they offer a settlement, it's all on them. It's in their ballpark. And when you sit there and you're like, oh, they're going to give me $100,000. Now, I am not litigious. I'm not at all. I despise it. And I'm going to give a story about that in a second. So I despise it. I understand why insurance companies do this to an extent, because they got to protect themselves, because you have a lot of people that are litigious, meaning prone to suing.
Yes.
Right. So
especially in this state.
yeah. Oh God. Uninsured life.
Yeah. Especially in this state.
Anyway, so they wanted her, and then they hit her with, well,
They probably.
I'm telling you how much this pisses me off.
They probably tried to play the card too, as if you're involved in an accident and you that day immediately hear from the insurance company, which is kind of strange and not normal. They're playing that card. If I am the victee, just because I don't have a better word, then that means that the insurance company's trying to help me out. They're trying to get ahead of this. They're like, it shows it in a positive sense. But then when you click the link and you get there, again, if you're in that mindset and you click that, okay, no problem, I'll click it and go through. They're kind of playing on that card.
And all it is that I just want to get the claim taken care of.
Exactly.
By clicking that, you agree to give away your rights.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that, right? Now, here's what it was. So she received at 3:55 p.m. after the phone call. So the incident happened around just before 2 o'clock. So they've already called her, and then they sent her a link at 3:55 a.m. or p.m. Okay. There's a link, and then she got another link the next day saying that, yeah, whatever. Okay. All right. So we could really use your help regarding the incident on January 20th. Tap below to answer our questions. Again, there's the link, trying to get her consent to give away any rights she'd have for paying the damages. Okay.
And this is the person that hit hers.
This is their insurance. This is the responsible driver. Yeah. Okay. So they gave her another message at 7:14, then another one at 8:09 saying, please click the link. We have some questions. Okay. Answering our questions will help us process your claim faster. Tap below to answer. Okay. Then she got another one at 9:09 or 8:09. No, it's the same one. Okay. Got another one at 12:23, and another one again following that. It's another at 12:23. Okay. And then you've been added to the conversation regarding your claim. Note messages. This is okay. There's the representative, claims adjuster handling the claim for the incident that occurred. I'm sorry to hear about the accident. Your claim is enrolled in our digital process, which means that you'll communicate primarily through text and email to keep things moving efficiently. I'll be sending important updates and next steps throughout your claim. So please review your messages carefully. If you have any questions or need assistance at any point, feel free to reply by text or email, whichever is easiest for you. Do you see what they're trying to do? They're corralling her to give away her consent in the event, because that's in their hands. If they say, hey, this accident with this injury, and this injury could be whatever, let's just go ahead and minimize that. Okay. Because if you have a herniated disc, a pinched nerve, stuff like that, you can deal with that the rest of your life. I worked in a physical therapy office. I promise you, these things can't happen. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm telling you what can happen. And they don't want that. And if you have pain and suffering the rest of your life, what's that worth? Your attitude, your entire mentality can change with consistent pain. Your life could be ruined, and you could do it quickly by clicking that fucking link. Like, how much does that piss me off? That infuriates me.
And this is her insurance, or this is the other?
That's the person responsible's insurance. Okay, it's not hers. It's the other insurance.
So that's why it's very important to reach out to your own insurance.
Yes.
Don't communicate with them. Let your insurance company talk to her insurance company,
and make sure that you figure out where you can go for care. Because some of these places also that pisses me off. If you're in an accident, you get injured, and you go to get checked out, you may have to pay out of pocket for an injury somebody else caused, from an accident they caused, and then you'd have to wait for their insurance company to reimburse you. Now, what are you, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, and you're sitting there going, I need help, I guess I'm not going to get checked out because you have 10 days to do it. I'm telling you, fuck these people. God damn it, it pisses me off. So anyway, told you, it pisses me off, fires me up, right? Because this is unethical. You got people to do this. This is insurance policy. There's insurance companies, and this is a lot of them. This is just the major one. Okay, this is a major auto insurance. And not just pay attention. Insurance. They will get you to give away your rights. Okay, that means if she clicked yes, she would actually forego a possibility of an attorney representing her because she has pain and suffering. This person's not going to bullshit a claim. She's been in pain since then, and they're trying to talk her into this by funneling her, by corralling her into giving up her rights. Yeah, I got a major problem with this because this speaks to me and the world of the community that we need to support. Overall, I'm talking about the community because I hate the left uses that all the time. Fuck you, left, for taking the community work. We're taking it back. Eat a fucking bag of dicks, okay? I am so tired of this shit. I'm an independent, so don't think, oh, he's a fucking conservative. No, I'm an independent that leans conservative because I know that if we can build a future based off what we understand the past by, then we have someplace that we can go. But with your bullshit ideas of this fantasy world that you're going to create a dystopia with because you're too stupid to understand it, or you're led by fucking corrupt people because you're too goddamn caught up in everything else to understand your own benefits. So yeah, so what do? We end up with asshole companies like this that try to strip you of your rights.
Yep.
Now, and then you got me getting on here pissed off because you got people that are fucking getting screwed over because of these assholes. Because I don't want to pay a claim. I want to minimize the damages to this so that you can live in pain the rest of your life. Don't click that fucking button. Don't do it. Speak to an attorney first.
Yep.
Now, if your attorney tries to lead you down the road going, oh, well, I guess maybe you are dealing with a lot of pain. Fuck that attorney. Find one that's ethical. Because he's trying to get admitted. It's just he or she's trying to make money. I'm talking about being ethical in everything. Fix this shit. Because right now, we're on a ship sailing directly into the rocks because people want to be so goddamn narcissistic.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's not just car insurance. You know, it's health insurance. You know, just like we talked about United Healthcare, that incident. Property insurance here, which is a big problem in Florida. Normally, if you have a claim, which you cannot get a mortgage unless you have insurance for the most part. If you have one claim, then they will normally drop you. And there's not a lot of options as far as insurance goes in Florida in general. Overall, insurance is such a scam. It's only there. It's a way to steal money out of the public. And whenever you really need to use it is when you will actually be deterred and they'll remove it from you. You will be punished for using something that you pay month in and month out. And it is just a nationwide
and required
problem.
to have.
Yeah, and required to have.
If you have it, if you have it for auto, if you have a loan on that vehicle and it's not paid off, you're required to have it. By the way, you should be required to have it anyway, but Florida is there's a whatever. You have uninsured motorists, which is anyway. Yeah, because also that policy's on there because they can tack a little bit more money on you in the event that the person that hits you doesn't have insurance or the person you get in an accident with doesn't have insurance. It's a way of getting a little bit more money instead of just saying, doesn't matter what happens to your vehicle, everything's covered on this policy.
Exactly.
Instead, let's itemize it so we can get more money out of you. So it's just, I'm telling you, the ethics of this absolutely boils my blood.
Yeah, no,
absolutely boils it. And that's what I stand for. So for you guys, if you really like this type of conversation and you want to better arm yourself, subscribe. You're going to want to. And if you have questions about it, reach out. I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to give you medical advice. I'm none of that shit. This ain't freaking ask what you know on the billboards. You know, are you injured? No. I'm tired of all of this bullshit. We're struck by litigious issues. There's all kinds of lawsuits. People are suing left and right
everywhere
over the dumbest shit. And here's the other thing I was going to tell you. So I know on the other side too. I worked where I had 130 employees directly underneath me, and they had trucks. I had 26 trucks on the road that were that I was responsible for. I had 2 people in the truck, and they got rear-ended at a gas station. The first phone call that I got, hey, I was just in an accident. Nothing happened. There's no damage. Everything's good. I didn't even realize we got hit. Trying to downplay it, right? Because I'm the boss.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I might be in trouble. Who knows? Whatever, or the truth. And then next thing I know is the cop did the report, found the other guy responsible, which bumped him. Right? There's an attachment piece that was on the back of it with a platform with these things on it, and it's not a big deal. Okay,
which is huge though.
Bumped
the
it.
Police report is huge.
Oh,
Make sure
absolutely.
If anything ever happens, you get a police report because most of the time when you go to the insurance company to pitch your claim, that's the first thing that they're going to ask.
Yep.
If you don't have it, it's hearsay,
yep.
and they'll tell you to kick rock. So get that.
Oh, just exchange information.
Nope, don't do that.
You don't have any way of proving what happened.
Exactly.
It's yours against theirs.
Yep.
Why do you have this information? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. If they don't have to pay out the claim, they're not going to because they're in the business to make money. They're not a charity.
And don't feel like a dick. The other person might try to make you feel like a dick. Oh, we don't need to do that. No, do it. Just say, no, listen, it's for your own protection. Make sure you get it.
Oh, yeah. So to that story, nothing happened. Everything's good. Nothing. He sent me a picture of the attachment on the back of the truck that was in the hitch receiver. Sent me a picture of it. Nothing. You couldn't see there was anything. Next thing I know after that is I asked about both people that were in the truck. Like, is everybody good? How about the driver of the other vehicle? Everybody okay? First off, care about the property, care about the people.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's fine. Nobody even realized an accident happened except for the minor bump. That's his words. He said, I barely felt something and I looked behind me and the truck was right behind me and the guy opened his door and I'm like, what's going on? And the guy got out. He's like, hey man, I'm sorry about hitting you. That's how we knew. Next thing I know, within an hour after the police report, he calls me up and goes, hey, I think I'm going to need to get checked out. You know, the other guy in the truck is already on his way to go get checked out. And he goes, who do I talk to, you know, about going, like pursuing this? And I'm like, pursuing what? Medical?
And these are the employees.
These are my employees.
Okay.
Were my employees.
Okay.
Right? And they're like, oh, well, you know, who do I go to pursue this? And I'm like, to pursue the medical, you just workman's comp. Just go ahead and go in and we'll get you taken care of. Don't worry about it. And he goes, no, for the other guy. Like, I want to go after the company.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, everyone's looking for that.
Oh my God.
Man.
And then the other guy goes the same thing. He goes, hey, how do I proceed with this? And I'm like, proceed with what?
Yeah, it's not even your
I
truck.
was like, you've already been checked out medically and you're good, right? And he goes, yeah, but I just want to make sure. So is there a company person that I need to talk to? And I'm like, what specifically do you want to talk about? I'm trying to get him to tell me that he wants to sue the guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, because I needed to have clarity because there's nothing I could do about it. I can't give legal direction or advice. All I said to myself whenever he said that was, oh man, these people are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
And now it's pieces of shit at the moment, not a piece of shit total. It's at that moment they saw the opportunity to get ahead.
Yep. Make some money.
Yep. $10,000 or whatever the hell it is. You know, let's go ahead and go with it. By the way, if you guys don't know this, there are a lot of attorneys out there that love those cases.
They sure do.
Because what they do is that's a quick $10,000 and it's a letterhead sent by mail, certified, so it gets signed for, right? And it states that with a letter of intent to sue.
Mm-hmm.
And that typically gets settled for about 10 grand.
Yeah.
Because it costs more than that to go to court. So these attorneys that are out there going, that's a quick, right? You know, and they have their own set rates. They will get a big piece of that $10,000.
Yep.
And the person that's making the claim will get what they get, unless the company stands their ground. But if it's going to be $10,000 or more multiples over of that going to court, you know, those companies aren't going to sue them back for, you know, their own legal costs, you know, because that's also an image issue, is a lot of stuff. So it's in their favor to go ahead and settle.
Yep. Quick money.
These attorneys are out there. I despise them.
And people don't understand that. They wonder why attorneys are so expensive. They wonder why insurance is so expensive when a car insurance or health insurance. Everyone's trying to fuck over the consumer. So when you go and you make, and this shows a lot about society, that we're in this quick-minded, you know, instant gratification, instant money. Oh, I'm ahead, whatever amount of money I get. But that all comes back around. Everyone's fucking everybody, right? So if we continuously see this pattern going, you're just going to, that's why car insurance goes up all the time. That's why health insurance goes up all the time. Everyone is trying to get a piece of the pie. And we think by doing these kind of things that, oh, I'm helping myself, I deserve this. But in long term, all it's going to do is fuck you over in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Look, we got people that climb out of the woodwork every time we turn around. Now, don't get me wrong. There are really good attorneys out there. And then there are some of the worst scum of the earth out there.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell because their job is to get you to like them and feel like they're your fighter. And then to convince you. So the way that I use as a way of understanding a measurement on this is, are they leading me into something? And that's the way they talk, right? So there's that, right? I have been coached by family members. I've been coached by close friends. I've been coached by a lot of people throughout my life when an incident has occurred, where they're like, you should sue the company. Yeah. You should sue this person. You should sue that person. You know, you should get paid for this. Like, I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah.
Me growing up, like, I refuse. I've never followed suit, ever.
Me neither.
If it is something that is justifiable, I will. But I'm not going to do it just because I want to get a quick, cash.
And who wants to spend the time on that? It takes, I don't
well,
like the litigation.
yeah, but I'll tell you
the logistics.
I'll tell you who.
Yeah, we know who.
People that don't know any better, you know, and if they're already doing their regular job. I mean, it's the company I worked for at that time with those two employees, that company was sued several times by my own staff.
Really?
By my own employees. There were several times that they received, like the company received letters that they were suing for things that they themselves did. One person hurt himself on the job by doing something that was against company policy. Doesn't matter, because if you go to court to actually take that to court, it's going to cost more than the amount that typically. You know, it's usually the threshold's about 10 grand.
So they just kind of pay out. They see it easier just to say, hey, here's your 10 grand and move on.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I got real problems with it. So it's both sides. My thing is this: if you are not legitimately in a position where it's justifiable, don't be the piece of shit that tries to drag it all down. Okay. And if you're on the other side and you are one of those pieces of shit that like to try to drag the system down because you're a narcissistic piece of crap that is not a fucking patriot, by the way. No, you're a scumbag.
No.
If you're that person just trying to figure out how to sue everybody. No, so those people, look, either side, you have to wisen up because your actions today create the future you have tomorrow. It echoes into eternity.
Yep.
Right. And if you choose that you're going to do things that could harm yourself tomorrow or your family members or people you care about, you need to reevaluate yourself. You're probably a desperate person that needs to get on your feet.
Yep.
I stand for getting people on their feet, but you got to give up the victim mentality.
It's a good micro example of how society is as a whole. People on SNAP benefits that don't need to be, people who have children just to get the tax benefits, and it just thinking about themselves and, oh, well, I can get money from the government. Oh, well, I can get money from the insurance company. I. And if we all become in this individualist society, then that's where we are now as a whole.
Absolutely. One of the fastest ways to take somebody out of the middle class and kill a business is to sue them and actually have leverage.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean whoever's suing you is right. But that's one of the problems that we have. And I stand for getting people off of zero. What I mean by zero, if you're on government subsidies or support, those kind of things, look, if you have to be there because you legitimately have no other abilities and options, understood. I'm not heartless, but I will say that if you don't need to be there, you're just lazy. And there are those people.
The mass majority of people that are in that case.
Yeah, unfortunately, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So if we want to get people off that, I want to be able to give people that benefit of being able to have something of value in their life. And your paycheck, by the way, is not a thing of value.
No.
Now, most people can say, yeah, I pay my bills with it. That's not what I mean.
No, yeah. And it's a losing mindset.
It is.
You'll be so empty. And if you're in the right mindset,
No
you
purpose.
think critically, after a while, that will start to get you and you'll snap yourself out of it.
Yeah.
But most people are not like that.
Not at all. No, unfortunately. Because what happens is that we got abused and we got neglected as a nation. A lot of us had our neighbors don't know, don't care. I'm not going to do anything about it. Let them deal with their thing. Now, I'm not an interventionist that actually says every little thing needs to have intervention because lessons need to happen. What people need is guidance in the lesson and to understand, look, the suck will happen and you got to embrace it.
Yep.
Right. But once you understand how to build the muscle to embrace the suck, you're in a better spot because you can start moving up. And at the end of the day, you can say, hey, I created that. I did that. Nothing feels better than the first dollar you make when you start a business. Right? Nothing feels better, right? The first 100,000 will be another benefit. You're going to enjoy it. But when you get that first dollar, it starts to validate your idea.
Yeah, you get momentum. And momentum is super important in life. And a lot of people will get momentum and they'll fall off and they'll get back on, fall off. It's hard to stay in that mindset. But a lot of it comes from the society we live in. People are not incentivized to do that. And for most demographics, like for the people who are actually on disability and government aid that need it, the people who are not or that are on government aid don't need it, you're only hurting that individual that actually needs it. They could get more if not everyone was working the system. Just like car insurance, for example. If not everyone was trying to sue everybody and get money from the insurance companies, then our car insurance payments will be less. But that's not how it works.
Unfortunately. Yep. So we got to watch out for the scams. And some of these, like people think scam because of the phone call you get, or somebody comes, they try to take title of your house, or whatever. No, we are also, as an individual, you have to make a choice on whether or not you're going to be a part of a scam. And some of those scams, you don't even know it is one. As I mentioned earlier, being coached by people, I've had people that really thought they were doing the right thing because they didn't realize the long-term harm. Even if I'm saying in the instance that I'm referring to, there was no injury, none. One of those was a fire truck or a water truck that I was running, building one of the main highways, back whenever I was a teenager. It caught fire. Because of the neglect by the maintenance side, and the mechanic wouldn't do it because they wouldn't authorize them to do it. And it was a hose that was leaking hydraulic fluid onto the exhaust manifold. And eventually it just got to the ignition point. It caught on fire. Truck burned to the ground. I got out. I didn't get hurt. I was put in danger, but I didn't get hurt. I didn't feel it was justifiable to sue the company. But I had a lot of people telling me and coaching me, hey, you need to sue them. You don't know. You need to teach them a lesson, whatever, right? Yeah, look, there's lessons to learn, but they also lost a truck.
Mm-hmm. It's
So,
really easy to talk yourself into that moral high ground and get yourself in that mindset to where you think you're actually doing something good, but it's really not good.
not at all. Not at all. It's horrible. So just be careful with that. There are people that are like, oh, just sue the insurance company. Another friend of mine had an accident when she was a teenager. And she had one of her best friends with her in the vehicle. They got rear-ended. Very first day that my friend was driving on her own. Very first day, they went to the mall to celebrate. And when they left the mall, they got rear-ended. Her friend's Nana, her aunt, was teaching her to sue my friend's insurance company.
Yeah.
Because of all of these injuries that she was trying to tell her to claim that she had.
Mm-hmm.
And it affected her relationship with her friend because her friend said that she was thinking about it. And it's like, you're going to sue your friend's insurance company because you're being coached to get some money. It is absolutely insane to me that people do that shit. You know what? And what does that do? You're teaching that person to look for those opportunities, which is creating the crabs in the bucket.
Yep.
If you want to do something great with this life, be a positive supporter to the economy. Build this thing up. Take up the mantle of the work necessary to make this country great. It's not just voting to be great. It is actions to be great.
Gotta be working. And it's a good example as far as we were talking about SNAP benefits. That's a lot how it works too. People that are on government assistance, the parents or the grandparents, it's normally a generational thing. They teach the kids that this is what you're going to do. You're not going to get a job because I need to keep my benefits. You're going to have benefits too, etc. So it's teaching the younger generations and your own kin essentially on how to work the system, just like suing.
Don't teach them to be victims. Even if bad things happen, if you dwell on the victim side of things, you create a projection of thinking. The trajectory of thought after that, once somebody accepts that they're victimized, is to find out how they're a victim and reinforce it. Yes, there are times, but all you do is use the legal system to truly validate somebody being victimized. But I'm not saying to sue for money, but if somebody needs to be punished by the legal system and go through, like if they got to go through corrections or whatever, it's called corrections for a reason, by the way. It's not called corrections just because it's a cool name. It's intended to correct the behavior.
There's justifiable reasons to actually sue and move forward with things,
yes,
but not
there's that ethical range.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, that ethical range is pretty damn narrow. So just teach people to do the right thing so we can put this thing back together. Otherwise, you yourself are contributing to the demise of this country. It may seem like a drop in the bucket, a grain of sand, or a drop in the ocean. But guess what? The accumulation creates the ocean.
It adds up. It adds up.
So
we'll come back to this topic. We're just going to finish up with another little one. And I think this is a good thing to preface. A lot of these topics we're talking about are very broad and they're ever evolving. So we will come back and digress and add more facts once we get more facts, including insurance companies. I like that. But the next one that we're going to talk about before we close up is something that's close to home. We've talked about the governor's race that's coming up. But there's also other political elections that are going to be going on in 2026. And one of them is our very own U.S. Representative Paulina Luna is up for re-election this year. If you don't, I'm sure most people, I hope, know about her. I mean, besides like a small fraction of St. Pete, if you live anywhere from like North Tarpon all the way down to, Gulfport and even sections of St. Pete, she really is your House U.S. Representative. Some of the things she's done, and we'll discuss kind of what that means, what we can do to help, and how I think it's going to be moving forward. She's a, Pinellas County. Some of the things she's done, which has kind of gotten pushback from some other people in Congress, but she is trying to do the right things, in my opinion, which is why I think she deserves to be back on for re-election. Is a petition to end congressional stock trading, which is awesome.
Get rid of the Pelosi Act. Get rid of the whole
Nancy Pelosi, and a lot of people make so much money when it comes to stock trading because they have the inside information. If I did that, if Chad did that, if you did that, Martha Stewart, she did it. Government transparency when it came to releasing the RFK files and the ever-going Epstein files. She was also on board with releasing that, which, we got some, but they're kind of redacted. I'm sure we'll hit that topic down the road. And it's very important to, especially in this time, because now we have Trump, and it's even more, it's always going to be polarized. I think we're just going to live in a polarized state as a nation for the ever moving forward future. But it's very important that we look at the things that representatives have done as a whole, and also what like their intentions are, and really what their ethics are behind the reason why they're there. They're voting. They're pushing things forward so that we can set ourselves up to continue on. We're going to lose Ron DeSantis. YouTube, I swear to God, don't. It's just a name. He's the governor. Don't ban it.
He just can't run this next term.
He just can't
He
run.
could run the term after.
Yeah, he's got to sit out a term. You can only
Yep.
do 2 consecutive terms in Florida. So we're
As
losing
governor.
him. So yeah, as governor. So we're losing him. And we got other, we got Anna up for reelection. So it's very important that we see the fruits of our labor since COVID, especially. I mean, if you compare Florida to other nations from 2020 or other nations, which we aren't nation states, that's why I call them nations, from 2020 to now, you will see we lived a very different experience than other places do, which is why we've had a lot of people moving here. So it's important we take that to heart and we understand that it's not just as simple as, oh, well, like there's some guy, I don't even know his name. I'll have to look up his name. He's running against her. He'll probably get smoked. But it's just, he was a teacher in Pinellas County. He wants to do it. And I got nothing against people. I think normal people should run for public office, but we can't just let this dynamic of, oh, we got ICE and, oh, we have this and that. He's a dictator. We can't let that spew into the independent space and kind of forgetting as far as what our current leaders have done for us. We need to make sure we keep this going because in a heartbeat, Florida could become other states that are not doing so well, like maybe not to the extent of New York, but Georgia. You look at Georgia, for example, Georgia is not looking good right now. And if we don't vote the right way, if we don't get out and let our voices be heard, if we don't do the things we're supposed to do, it could be very quickly, just like AI, it could be very quickly, we could be at Georgia and not be in the position of the state right now.
Absolutely. And you got to be careful with it. Look, as far as my thoughts on Anna Paulina Luna, I'll put another a congressional seat. So the guy may be nice. I never met him in person, but everybody I talked to about him really loves him. He's a Republican as well. Gus Spellerakis.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'm familiar with him. Yep.
To me, he's a do-nothing congressman.
Yeah.
What I mean by that, he's not a leader. He just follows suit, typically. You don't hear a lot about him unless you live in his district and he talks to his people a lot. But what I've actually seen, because I actually did work on a campaign in my 20s, because he's a career politician. Same as his father.
He is. Yeah.
Watch out for those career politicians, because their job should not be staying in politics. Their job should be serving in politics and go back and do something in the economy beyond that. So anyway, beyond that, just really, they don't do anything in the economy. They just write laws that the economy has to abide by. But anyway, so yeah, so as far as he's a do nothing, she is a do something, and I like Anna Paulina Luna. I've never met her in person, but I can tell you this, the reason why people know about her is because she actually is trying to lead. She is doing things to try to make a difference. What the media loves to do, and if you're informed by the media, I'm sorry, you're not informed. No, you've been misinformed. Or actually the reference is that disinformed. Yeah. And then you've been guided to think a certain way. I gave that nonsense up, even in the background noise, back in 2017. And that's whenever Trump won me over. So the reason why I won me over is because I saw what CNN was saying that he said, and I watched an entire length video of what he actually said. And I'm like, well, these two don't line up. I watched the whole video, but they're telling me what I saw, which is called gaslighting. They're telling me what I saw isn't what I saw. And that they're telling me how to think. And I'm like, well, fuck you. You don't tell me how to think. I will come to my own conclusions. And if I find out that you have misled me, you've got my wrath coming. Because you have intentionally found an area of ignorance on me that has made me believe a certain thing. So with Anna Paulina Luna, I don't know of anything that she's done that I disagree with, that I don't agree with. Right? I can't think of anything she's done. She seems to be one that truly is trying to represent the people. Actually, not trying. She truly is representing the people. So yeah, I would like to see her get in again. If there's something that she's done that is untoward, I would love to hear. But I have not come across anything. But I'm also, again, I backed away from politics to a degree because I'd rather focus on business and I'd rather get the kitchen table stuff that actually gets people to put money on the table or food on the table, actually. I'd rather get to that conversation and help people build and create something so that we do truly have this amazing economy that is basically our economy on steroids is what I want to see. And I'd rather do things that actually support that. So I'll leave it up to Josh to dig into what's going on with Anna Paulina Luna and other people in politics. But I definitely will say that I will be voting for her unless somebody teaches me otherwise, but she's not giving me any reason not to put her back in office. So, or to continue having her in office. So yeah, that's where I stand with her. There are a few of them that I have some questions about, but look, I don't need Jesus. I don't.
Yeah.
Not in Congress.
No.
I mean, we'd all do well if we had somebody like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I don't need that. As an independent, I don't care as much. You don't need to be 100% perfect. Just be good enough for me to know that you truly are trying to represent the people. So that's what I ask for. We all do things that we would rather not have done in hindsight. So there are very few people that haven't. And I don't care. I'm not going to crucify somebody because they didn't do everything right by the way that I think they should.
Yeah.
But the media tells you that.
Exactly.
I hate the media.
I love how you mentioned the 2017 Trump, because really that Trump revolution that he created was against political establishment, and Anna Paulina Luna is one of those examples who is really anti-political establishment. She only really ran because of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk and her were close. She went on his show. What was it? Prove Me Wrong. They talked about ICE. Interesting enough. And after that really gave her the motivation to move forward. And hey, I kind of want to give this a run. So that Gus Bilirakis, that career politician. Again, I mentioned before, I got nothing against the guy who's running as a former Pinellas County teacher, especially as one ex-teacher myself. I got nothing against that. We need more people like Anna who are just every day. Now she may be, she might be a dime, and that, she kind of uses that. And hey, screw it, that's what we want. She was a masculine model. She's got it going for her. Not inside. She didn't need to come to politics. That's why I was like, you don't need to come to politics, but choose to come to politics to make the community they live in better. So if we have Anna, then we'll be better off down the road. So it'll evolve. Again, very early. It's only January. Elections won't be until November. And as we go down the months and months, we'll escalate. We'll get more talking points. We'll get more. I'll dive in a little bit more as far as some of the bills that she's helped pass. I mentioned a few of them, but it'll expand as time goes on. We'll get more information.
Yeah. And I look forward to it because I want to be educated on it, but at the same time, where my focus is to help get people where they want to be. And I want to get a lot more people into business in a safety, or not in safety necessarily, but in a good place. So but we do need to make sure we have the right people in office so that you can have the opportunities necessary to
Exactly.
thrive. So it's a beautiful marriage between Josh and I when it comes to that, because I really have backed off a lot. I was obsessed when we had this channel initially. And at this point, I really do. I care. I do. But what I'm obsessed with is getting these businesses put together and helping people understand how you can run one and do it in such a way that you can make a life for yourself and give you something to give to your kids and or down the line to be able to create a legacy. So that's where my major focus has been. But I can tell you this, Anna Paulina Luna has impressed me. And unless something else happens, she has my vote. So, but I'm open. That's another thing about me, and also why I've always held the position of being independent. I've been that since the beginning when I was first able to register. Been independent the entire time. I didn't like either party.
Yeah.
Even in my teen years, I didn't like either party. I'm like, I don't care. And the first time I voted was for a Republican.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
mine was Ron Paul.
Yeah.
Libertarian. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think actually when I voted for him, he was a Republican at the time, but Ron Paul was my first vote.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Senior.
Yeah.
His dad.
Yeah. I find that a lot of us independents are blends.
Yeah.
We got a lot of things. Like I do have some things that I'm like, you know what, that's good. We need that. But when it either side, but I do lean more conservative just simply because, if you want to create a viable future, you have to build from what you have in the past and don't go too far away from that. If you scrap it and try to recreate the wheel, you have to deal with all of the R&D of it. Unfortunately, in politics, the R&D could be the absolute dismantling of a great nation. I mean, Venezuela was actually a great country before it got taken over, and now it'll be a great country again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I mean by a great country before it's taken over is before it became socialist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's make sure that's clear.
Very true.
So now they have an opportunity, a real opportunity. So don't buy into it. The media hype, and if you really want to give yourself a good, legitimate test, see how many times you've been told things that got you emotionally excited about something, and whenever it finally happened, it wasn't what they told you it was.
Yeah.
That'll tell you
a good example of that.
Where
the bus is, next thing you know, he's already talked about raising it $3. So got to pay attention. Talking words, just words that's what politicians do. Politicians talk. They tell you what you want to hear. And then when push comes to shove and they get in, you got to base it off of actions. And a lot of people, You know, again, we go back to democracy. You know, that's just kind of sometimes how it works. You know, it's the talking points. You got to be careful as far as always do research on someone. And again, I like how Chad said that. I know I'm voting for Anna already, but I am open to hearing what other people have to say. Hopefully, they have some debates. I plan to go to some of them. If you know, sometimes debates are on the weekdays and they kind of can be hard to get. But if I can make it, we may even go as a show to see what's going on. So there will be some learning as far as some of the other candidates, and we'll make our positions as we move forward and talk about them.
Absolutely. You know what would be great too, after those are done, interviewing people and hear what they actually heard.
Yeah, that
Talk
would
to
be
them
fun.
about what they heard during the debate.
Yeah.
Not what was necessarily said,
Yes.
but what they heard.
Yes.
And if you get what I
just
mean by
ask them.
that.
Yeah, just ask them. I'm not going to tell them when we start doing some of those on-site interviews and we go to rallies or what have you. I am not going to spread my own opinion whatsoever. We're going to take what they say and then we're going to digest it on the show and go from there.
So Josh is not going to spread his opinion. Believe me, I will. If I hear something that's going to hurt business, I'm going to fucking talk about it. I'll be like, yeah, you're a business owner. Okay, do you work for a company? This is how it can affect you. Yeah, believe me, I am all about, I'll spread my opinion. Yeah, but I'm not going to sit there and tell people who they should vote for necessarily. But hey, you never know. I might get caught up in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
And, you know, but I do prefer to treat people with a good degree of respect.
Exactly.
But the respect for me is a credit limit.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll start off neutral, and then you'll tell me how to treat you by the way you treat me, and or the way you speak. So overall, but I want to create the best opportunities for everybody. That's my position. Ethically, if we were to tie it back in for the beginning of the show, you know, ethical capitalism also means ethical behavior. And as time goes on, you'll learn also how do you establish the concept of ethics. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, good topic. I like to hear it myself.
Yeah. Don't have time today, guys, but you're going to need to check in for that one. And subscribe if you haven't already. What else we got, Josh?
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Man, what a great show.
It was a good show. Things got heated. I like it.
Yeah, you know what though? I've had to force myself to calm down. Like that absolutely. I just can't. I can't. I've heard so many times, and this has spread so wide and so far. I won't. I'm not going to. I will let people know. You know, my mother taught me as I was growing up, if you have nothing nice to say, then say nothing at all. But here's the issue. If you say nothing at all, a lot of times that gives whoever's saying something consent, believing that you agree with them.
Yeah. You know, and it's a good thing to be passionate about things because some people maybe haven't experienced that.
Yep. Yeah. Especially if they like you and then they find out you're passionate about it. You know, but if you can speak about it in an intelligent way, you know, with that one for me, yeah, I'm so incredibly fired up and passionate about how unethical that is when it comes to the way that insurance company had treated my friend. Like I am so incredibly livid with that.
Well, now you'll have that.
But that's standard.
Yeah.
That's standard in the industry. They will do everything they can to get you to waive your rights. Because as soon as you waive your rights, you'll have to take what they give you.
Yep.
If you got a lifelong injury and they decide that $10,000 is enough, need I remind you guys, I worked in a facility that worked with people with injuries and they went through rehabilitation. Now, I was a corrective exercise specialist, so I worked alongside the physical therapists and physical therapy assistants. And I will tell you right now, some of those people, you know, you get hurt when you're young and you deal with it the rest of your life, and it can change you as a person.
And I worked with Chad with clients that had the same problems. You know, I had a car accident or I have a knee that I injured, what have you. And so they're just limited. They can't do everything that they used to do.
Yep. If you can never run again, how much is that worth for you?
More than 10 grand. Yeah.
If you can't ever exercise again without limitations, what's that worth?
There's not a number that you could give me.
Imagine that now you can't even move without pain. And the rest of your life, how much is that worth to you?
Again, you couldn't even give me $1 amount.
Yep. Yeah, it changes you. Absolutely. And these companies are in the business to make money, not to pay it. So yeah, keep that in mind. Don't just click because of that. Like take the time and read it. She read it. And the reason why they put it where they did is because they make that a lot easier to defend. If you were to say, I didn't realize I signed that, you're like, it's right there.
Exactly.
You consented to it because it's a small paragraph.
Nobody reads that fine print.
It's right. And it's also the thing, right? They don't, and they love that, So again, I'm all about the ethical side of capitalism. All about it. You should make a profit for your efforts so long as you're not doing something to harm the greater community. Yes. Exploiting others and harming the greater community. So I know that's actually pretty, subjective because everybody has their position on what they consider harm,
Yeah.
and we become pussified. So now it's saying the bar was lowered
Yeah.
to, oh, you looked at me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
really.
looked at me the wrong way, so it gave you the right to shoot you.
Yeah. What God?
Oh, they used a forbidden word.
Yeah. What do they call it again? The misgendering thing was one
Oh,
thing. God, there's a word for it. I'm just not in that space. I don't even pay
Yeah.
attention to that nonsense, so I can't think of it right now.
Yeah. Dead naming and
Yeah,
like all
yeah.
that. Like just that.
Yeah.
God, I got to tell you, man, you see that stuff?
Hate speech. This is hate speech.
Oh, God.
you
Yep.
know?
Oh, they're trying so hard to get that stuff in the law, too.
Yeah. They are.
And they have, in some ways, got that in the law.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah. hate
That's a whole
speech,
nother
hate
topic.
crimes.
I mean, we can hit leftism for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, God. Yeah, and we will.
Yeah, we will.
We'll make fun of it for a long time.
Yeah,
We will. Because we'll just look back and say, do you remember when we were retarded?
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
people will. I think it's here to stay. I think it'll take 50 years for it to disappear.
Yeah, well, you got generations that won't
Yeah,
let go of it.
exactly.
And as long as those generations can find a position of power, it's not going to go away.
Exactly.
No, and it's unfortunate because a lot of those people, they're just brainwashed.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, don't mutilate your kids. And if you want to wear a dress, keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Fine
You
by
know,
me.
Because I can tell you right now, I am the guy that if you're the guy that wants to go into the women's restroom and a woman comes out and says that you did something to them, I believe them first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you shouldn't fucking be in there.
Yeah. I always say when it comes to that, respecting and accepting are two different things. I can respect the fact that you think XYZ, but I don't have to accept it.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave kids alone.
Yeah. Again, we'll get into that topic. That's a long one.
Yeah. And also, while we're at it, don't fuck with women either.
Yeah, let's leave them alone.
Yep. No, I'm not saying believe all women because I'm definitely not in that alignment.
No,
Fuck that.
no.
Yeah. All the bullshit. Oh God. Anyway, those are conversations another time. We're winding down. I don't want to get fired up again. But let's keep it at right now what matters, right? So I'm up to something. I'm up to changing as much as I can about your opportunities to give you what you can to get where you want to be and how to actually help people understand how to create what's going to be the thing that changes their life and their family's life in the most desirable way.
Exactly.
Right. So that's what I'm up for, and that's what I stand for. And I know Josh stands for truth and honesty and transparency. So, that's it. We're here to make a difference, and we want to be able to combine these both in a way that helps you better understand your vote does matter.
It does
but
matter.
So does what you do outside of the voting booth.
Exactly.
If you want to change your life, you need to do it. Don't wait for a president or anyone in elected office to change your life. You have to do it. And if you don't understand how to do it, subscribe to this channel.
Yep.
And if you want more information on how to do it, that's what my company does. Okay, so Shears and Associates, that's what we do. We change lives. So if you're interested in that, send an email to
wakingthepeoplepodcast@gmail.com. It'll be down in the description.
almost like pushing the button.
Yeah, it'll be down in the description. That link will be there.
Yeah. And anything else from today's show that you want to talk to us about, by all means, shoot us over an email. We'll be able to, communicate with you. Put a comment in the comment section as well. But this is it. We were very passionate about it. This go around, I feel a lot more comfortable. Because I'm just not going to get caught up in the politics of it all. Not like I used to. Not like I used to. That was day and night, all day long. Now I'm like, okay, but what really matters to me, is let's create something fucking beautiful.
Politics should be a steering wheel, but again, you have to be. Society has to be in tune. So you want someone in office who is going to give you legislation to make your life easier and make you be more prosperous, but it's still up to you to be more prosperous. Whereas some other ideologies think that the government is there to just give you resources to make you more prosperous, but in the long term, that doesn't come to fruition. They actually make you less prosperous.
Yeah, in my opinion, those people are the ones that their parents never let them grow up.
Yeah, or they never needed to,
Yep, you got to do for me.
Yep.
That's not their job.
No.
Same thing as governments don't make money.
No.
People do.
Yeah, exactly.
They tax us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they get their money.
Yeah, that is how they
And
get
to
money.
them, it's their money, not yours. And in my opinion, it's your money,
Exactly.
not theirs. So, let's work together on this one. All right, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Fantastic.
Stay focused, stay motivated, stay informed.
Absolutely. I like that.
That's all we're going to do.
All right. Well, till next time. This is Waking the People, and this is another approach. And damn it, I like it. So, all right, Josh. Good show, buddy.
Yep, good show. See you guys next time.
See you next time.